Opening with the king's pawn controls the center and opens up the light-squared bishop and queen, often leading to sharp games. The Sicilian defense controls the d4 square with c-pawn. d4 immediately attacks the c5 pawn and allows the dark-squared bishop to develop. c takes d4 captures the central d4 pawn and opens up the center. Knight f3 develops the knight toward the center and attacks the pawn on d4. The bishop is ready to be developed to an active square. Knight takes d4 recaptures the pawn and activates the knight in return for having one central pawn versus black's two central pawns. Knight f6 develops the knight toward the center and attacks the undefended e4 pawn. Knight c3 defends the e4 pawn and starts to develop on the queen side. Knight c6 attacks the d4 knight and supports the e5 square. Bishop c4 develops the bishop to an aggressive diagonal that controls the d5 square and attacks the f7 pawn. e6 controls the d5 and f5 squares and allows the dark-squared bishop to develop. Solid. Continuing with standard opening theory. Good job bringing your bishop out early to build a solid position. White develops the bishop and attacks the center. Textbook play so far. This is a book move, meaning it follows established opening theory, played by top players for years. Castling gets the king out of the center of the board, while also developing a rook. Both kings are castled and ready for the middle game. This maintains the balance in material with a good trade. Recaptures. Solid. Continuing with standard opening theory. This misses an opportunity to create a pawn chain, developing the bishop and increasing influence in the center. This protects an underdefended pawn that is under attack. Very precise. This creates a pawn chain, linked pawns that form a strong structure. This is the only move that works. This forces the opponent to isolate a pawn. Takes back. A good use of time, thinking and finding the only good move in the position. The pawn is now passed because it can no longer be challenged by pawns as it tries to promote. This is the only good move. This allows the knight to control more squares. This removes a knight that was threatening to win material. This is the way to win a pawn. This evades the check from the bishop. This threatens to play checkmate. This is the only move that works. This blocks an attack on a pawn. This forces the opponent to have isolated doubled pawns, which ruins their structure. Recaptures. This threatens to eventually win material. This stops the opponent from being able to eventually win material. This misses an opportunity to win a tempo by threatening a knight. This permits the opponent to take an outpost with a knight. This takes an outpost, a square where the knight cannot be kicked out by a pawn. This wins time by threatening a rook and forcing it to move away. There was only one good move there, and white did not spend enough time trying to find it. This misses an opportunity to defend a bishop that was under attack. Right on target. That pawn was free for the taking. This misses a better way to move a piece to safety. This misses an opportunity to eventually win a pawn. This overlooks an opportunity to create a pawn chain. This is the strongest option. White's bishop has moved to a square with greater activity and control. A very strong play. That's not a mistake, but it's not the best move either. Very precise. This moves the bishop to a more active square, making it gain scope. Right on target. This offers an equal trade of pieces. This defends a pawn that was under attack and had no defenders. A solid choice. This is an equal trade. Recaptures. The rook is now on an open file, which helps control squares across the board. One of the best moves. This defends a bishop that was under attack and had no defenders. A very strong play. The rook is kicked by a pawn and must now move or be captured. This move puts the rook on a safer square. The passed pawn moves towards its goal. This moves the bishop to a better location, allowing it to control more squares. Pushing a passed pawn. A solid choice. One of the best moves. A very strong play. This steps away from the checking rook. This makes a passed pawn. This activates a rook by getting it to the 7th rank and also restricts the king. This defends the attacked pawn. This threatens to force eventual checkmate. This stops the opponent from being able to force eventual checkmate. Takes back. A solid choice. This is the strongest option. Very precise. This is the only move that works. This evades the check from the rook. One of the best moves. Now, white can't stop black from winning a bishop if they make the right moves. This puts the rook behind the other player's passed pawn. This is the way to win a bishop. This creates a counter threat against the bishop, as opposed to retreating. This is the way to win a rook. The passed pawn moves towards its goal. This continues the checkmate threat. This wins a rook.